crazy. Look at that.
Take your hat, Patrick.
Thank you. I found it on the ground a long time ago.
Really? It's the best kind.
Free
So now we're going, and
It's ready. It's a thing.
are we?
All right.
we're-
I'm being highlighted right now.
Because you're talking.
It's a little distracting. I want to watch me.
So are we live, or are we recording, or both?
Both.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of Grand Marais Public Library Board of Trustees to order on this January 24th, 5:03 p.m. Do a roll call and introductions. My name is Dave Mills, Cook County Commissioner and the current board president.
I'm Michael Gary, representative of the city of Grand Marais.
Sarah McManus, Library Trustee.
Sue McClone, Library Trustee.
Kevin Moore, I'm the Vice President.
Nancy Giguere, Library Trustee.
And Olivier, Library Trustee.
Okay, Amanda St. John, Library Director, and
Erica Turnus, Librarian.
Patrick, I'm just kind of.
You're a guest.
City employee.
All right, thank you, everybody. We have the next thing is our slate of officers. So president, vice president, and secretary.
and Dave, can we, before we do that, back up the office?
Before we do that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks. Everybody should have a packet there on the table. Pass around.
We do this in a round?
No,
Okay.
all together, right?
Right.
Is everyone ready?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I do swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and of this state, to discharge faithfully the duties of this office to the best of my judgment and ability, to represent the Grand Marais Public Library, both to the people and to governing officials, to see that adequate funds are obtained for the library service, to promote the best possible use of all library resources in the area, to encourage cooperative activities between the different types of libraries, and to extend library service as well as not previously served. Voila. And then we all sign. And then we also have a conflict of interest, a statement of associations. What's the date? 24th.
25th.
25th? Oh, no, sorry. My bad too. Just reading. Me and my reading. Now with the signature part, it says subscribed and sworn before me this blank day, blah, blah, blah. So we need someone to sign that as witnesses, right? Okay.
Matter.
Excellent.
All right. Next is President, Vice Secretary.
I'd like to renominate our group of characters. Again, if they wish. That'd be great. Kevin is Vice President, and Secretary.
If anybody else wants to be secretary, I have to share this. That's something that you don't know it done. But when I signed on, and I have to talk to you first, it does happen sometimes. And then secretary, I 2 years might be enough for me.
You have any volunteers or nomination?
I will nominate.
I too very open to not. As a matter of fact, I heard that was my various entities feeling stretched by my input will. So anyone who has I'd like to give a shot, please.
I could.
If you would like, otherwise, as I said, I'm here. All right. Yeah, and I'd be happy to be secretary. If you don't, I feel like the few and far between the duties. We don't have our help here. I think I could have that, and Kevin, you're comfortable with those.
I have hardly anything to do.
Yeah, you feel that exactly. And that's happening all the time. So another reason why I was thinking maybe it would be good because I wasn't president prior. But any thoughts, desires?
Sounds like a good change.
Yeah. All right. So you nominate that slate as amended, is that? Right. Okay. Is there support for that?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion there? All right. All those in favor for our slate? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Great. Thank you. Hand it over to you if you'd like. Now, I'll just you make, doing it wrong.
So then I guess we have our consent agenda before us. If there are any changes, additions, anything anybody has to say regarding that?
I'm gonna update the date.
Oh, that's right. Yes, okay. Okay, well,
Details.
With that amendment to our consent agenda, are there any, anybody want to move that?
Move the consent agenda.
I second.
Move in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And Jan is not here. So, skip that and go to the library director's report. And
Okay. So two things I know I really want to touch on today are awards or recognition for both myself and Erica, who's here today. Excuse me for just a minute, can't even get through my own packet, it's big this week. I received a $750 scholarship as well as full conference attendance cost, which is $400, as well as a membership to the American Library Association and the Public Library Association chapter within. In order to attend the Public Library Association conference that happens this year in Columbus, Ohio. It is the largest public library conference in the nation, and it's a 3-day experience that happens there. If I am able to go, Then I would also, they're going to be highlighting me on their website, and I need to write a 400 to 600 word review of one of the sessions. I also need to sort of share regionally or locally what I experienced, and so I've found a way to work that into directors' meetings through Airhead Library System. And I feel that one of the selling points of my registration or my application for the scholarship was they ask a question about what it is that you can bring to other members of attending PLA, and I let them know that we are a 5-star library and have been for so long in our category, and so for being from a very small rural community, I'm able to offer the amazing things that we do here in Grand Marais. Erica was one of 25 people in the state who was admitted to the 2024 cohort for the Minnesota Library Association's Institute of Leadership Excellence. And the MILE program happens in May at Sugar Lake Lodge near Chippewa National Forest in northern Minnesota. That is a mouthful. Yes, I'm reading it. They have a 4-day retreat where they work on things like team building and diversity, equity, inclusion, and leadership in libraries, resilience, project management, and relationships. In my view, networking, being able to network with people across the state and build those connections for herself, but also for our community is extremely valuable. And so please join me in congratulating her for that very small.
Congratulations.
Do you have a thing? To do that thing right there. This? Yes. So Nancy loved this brochure and bingo card and asked us to come talk to you about them and share them about the work we're doing to promote the services we have here. So anything you want to share about the brochure or the reading program would be great.
Yeah, so the reading program is an all ages library bingo game. So each of the squares on the bingo card has a category of book or some kind of activity that people can do, like reading with someone or cooking a new recipe, which involves reading a new recipe. And when someone has a bingo, which is 5 squares in a row in any direction, they can come in and show us their card, and they get a raffle ticket to possibly win one of several grand prizes in addition to smaller prizes along the way. So every bingo gets some kind of little prize plus another chance to get one of the grand prizes. And for kids, their first bingo, they get a certificate for a free book from Drury Lane that they can go pick out. And then since we had both the reading program and also some events like weekly story times and the film series, I made just a kind of a winter at the library brochure so that we could get all of that information to people.
And I would add, I'm a film junkie. That's one, and hard for me living in Grand Marais that they're not movies. And but there are now in the winter, and it's a good selection. Unfortunately, I missed the first 2 because I was sick. But I was there last week, and oh my gosh, we had a whole lot of people. And it's a good selection this year. Several of them have been Oscar contenders as foreign films. And the one this coming week, the one tomorrow, I've seen it. It's great. I'm going to see it again. So I recommend if you can get here.
Yeah, and when is it again?
It's called Of Gods and Men.
Friday nights.
And if you ever study, if it's in French, so if you ever studied French, that you can bone up on your French. But it's a really good movie. I think it's wonderful. It's probably one of the reasons why we're a 4-star library, that we have programs like that.
I think we
A
have
5-star. I'm sorry, 5-star.
4 + 1.
I'd give a 6-star. But that's why we're exceptional.
Agreed.
And
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really very sharp looking, I would say.
Thank you.
Bingo card and the brochure
isn't it nice?
too. Yeah.
It's very nice.
That's so good.
It represents the library very well, and which is why I said they should bring it tonight, so all the trustees could see it.
Thank you. So technology and actually what I had on the agenda was heating So first our bathrooms were too cold, then they were too hot. We've replaced a zone valve in a couple of places, and that was fabulous and held for a minute, and then it like wouldn't shut off or whatever. So then we've replaced an actuator. I love that word. And I think there's one more piece that we have that needs to be repaired, and Lenny is coordinating that for me with Cook County Plumbing and Heating. So I'm not sure if it's happened yet or if it's on the agenda.
Okay.
But it's been a bit of an ongoing thing that, again, we think is finished.
Well, good.
And then technology, what is today, Thursday? On Tuesday, Sundew Technologies will be here to help update some equipment in our server closet, which will help keep all of our Wi-Fi and computer internet connections and things like that working. In particular, we're talking about upgrading to the newer Unify Cloud Key, which is the thing that counts how many Wi-Fi sessions are held, which is one of the statistics that is included in our public library annual report, which opens on February 1. I'll be talking to you more about that soon, and is also used in the, so many acronyms, in the library journal Star Libraries process.
Okay.
Generally, by this time of year, we have heard who the Star Libraries are, and I have not heard or seen why that is. So I've reached out to Library Journal just to kind of see what's going on with their program, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
Questions for me?
I bet they're short-staffed.
What?
I bet they're short-staffed.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm like, don't use those words around here. We
Wash my mouth out.
Use that soft soap. Really get it clean. All right. So on to community.
Is that
Oh,
That is an air conditioner.
air conditioner?
That is an air source heat pump.
Wait,
what?
Where is
It's
it?
there above the, it's
Oh, I
mounted
see.
on the wall
Yeah,
above
yeah.
the library desk.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's, I'm
A clock.
It's disguised.
All right.
That was your question, right?
Yeah.
Then on to the lighting project then, part of the communications. Anything more on that?
do we need to
You need to
decide on one of those?
So, sorry, this is a little confusing though, because I've listed it both as a memo communication and as new business. So
okay.
if you want to do it now, we can.
No, we can just put that, we'll do that with our new business. Okay, so then I guess we have the conference, or is that what you were talking about before? Yeah, okay. So we have our two fund statements. Are there any comments about that? Anything from you about that? I don't think so. Okay. And then letter of support for the library.
It's very specific and
Yeah.
heartfelt. It's good to get that kind of feedback, huh?
Yeah, really. Goes to all the hard work that's being done here all the time. Yeah. Awesome. All right, nothing more
has
with
there been
that.
any negative?
We don't talk-
Constructive feedback?
That you aren't sharing with our group?
Maybe not as moving.
A really beautiful and helpful constructive feedback that I received is we've recently started circulating DVD players. This was an idea that Jim in particular, Erickson at our front desk recommended would be of value to our community. And these players are constantly circulating, and they've helped us respond to other patron issues that have come up. They're like, oh, but we could try using, why don't you borrow one of our DVD players? And I think that'll help you get around this other situation for you. The models that we chose are mostly impressive to users, except that the sound is a little bit tinny. And so someone provided the feedback that the sound was tinny and also suggested that we circulate headphones. And so now we're able to update our kits, put headphones in, and see if that helps any. But the experimental circulation of this item has been very favorable.
Wow.
And they haven't broken for you.
Not yet,
Good brand then, huh?
except for the sound.
Yeah, that's a good deal. All right. So there's, on to new business then. We have the draft, the planned draft. I don't have anything.
Does anybody need a copy?
I would take that. All right, so everybody has one. Yeah, honestly, I did not review this ahead of time, so. I haven't, not much to add, but I suspect that Amanda might have read it a couple of times. And might have some thoughts about actions we might take soonly.
All right. So on the first page, at the bottom, the consultation team interpreted this as a 3-year plan, and there were conversations among the trustees of having a 2-year or a 3-year. Looking through the rest of the plan, I feel a 3-year might be appropriate as a match, but you might want to weigh in on what you intend for the plan.
I like the idea of 3 years. There's a lot going on in the plan, and it's almost like the first, I think when you try to put something like this in motion, the first year, you're kind of getting it going. The second year, you're doing better. You've learned maybe from your mistakes, or you're trying some new things.
Mhm.
And then the third year, you hopefully really are able to, by that time, finish accomplishing what you would like. 2 years doesn't seem long enough.
No.
So I think 3 years.
I agree with that. Anybody else have another thought?
I agree. It was a long process. It
Mhm.
seems like it should last longer than 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
With that, then, there were 4 focus areas proposed, and with each one, a synopsis of kind of what the feeling is or what the aim is with that focus area, and I'm wondering what feedback you guys have about those.
Well, as I read it, I had a thought. I'm wondering if we should switch focus area 1 and 2. I think, I'm sorry. Sorry, we were both in that, so like that. Probably my daughter-in-law calling about babysitting. Indeed. Hang on. No, that's all right. He'll just call us back. My son. Oh, wait. Okay. Let me text him. Just tell him I can't talk now. I'm sorry, I apologize. So my thought was, focus area 2 should maybe be at focus area 1, and I'll tell you why in a minute here.
Are they ranked though? Is it just,
Not
Does it
ranked.
matter?
You're not
Yeah.
right.
it's just
Okay.
distinguishing?
Yeah, you're never. Yeah, I think it is that we've limited the number of areas.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna try to do everything all
Right. So I think that they're
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Sorry.
Okay,
no,
well, my thought was, I don't know if they're ranked, but I think we should take a look at that kind of as the first maybe the first thing we look at. And the reason is we cannot, without a good understanding of what our resources are, we can't really do the rest. So I think that would be kind of our first thing to do. If we were gonna rank them, if they're not ranked, fine.
Yeah, they're not ranked.
But
Just
if we were gonna rank them, and maybe we should, in a sense, rank it, at least make this one number one before we do anything else. It would be great to know what our financial resources would be, especially, or could be, or might be over the
Yeah.
3-year period.
We had some of that
I
already.
mean, I think we have a pretty.
Do we
good-
have a pretty good idea?
I think
So that we
have a
know,
pretty good
that we know
snapshot.
what the different, shall we say, pots are or funding streams? We
Mhm.
know that
We
we
do.
will have
Yep.
X number of dollars for programs,
We do.
X
Yeah,
number of
it's
dollars
pretty-
for new books and,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Or
Yeah,
professional development for the librarians.
well, we
Yeah.
budget annually, which makes
Yeah.
it a challenge. So we have to
Mhm.
get that budget approved once per year.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
But those funding streams are pretty clear.
Are they clear, you think? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at least looking back,
You think so? Amanda, what
But
do
we
you?
have been also talking about, and it's brought up at the budget meeting of
Yeah.
the city councils. We do have these cash reserves that we may develop different policies on how much we actually need to keep in there, what are maybe some better uses for them than just collecting interest.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
that
I
would-
think that's where we're at now, is looking
Okay,
at
well-
pushing those dollars out the door and into programming that
Okay,
makes
well then,
sense for us.
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
But I think that would help us if we stop to think about, well, okay, we've got a reserve of, I don't know, X number of dollars. We'll keep half of it and use the other half or whatever. And it's sort of establish that. Thank you, Anna. I think that was a good comment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can look at, maybe finding that level
Right.
that we can go down to or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Does it make sense? Maybe it doesn't. But does it make sense to, okay, we budget annually, but to have, I don't know what you call it, a 3-year plan of possible, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
but thinking finances.
Yeah.
Let's say we want to do programming, so we've got this pot of money, we've decided we're gonna use 50% of it, let's say. And maybe in the first year, we might use X, and the second year, maybe we'll budget. We haven't made the budget yet, but we have it there that we could budget.
Mhm.
And in the third year too. And I think, then, I don't know, how do you feel about that, Amanda?
So at the point, so we do not have a programming budget.
Ah,
And sometimes I talk to trustees about that because I need to move forward in a conversation with all of you about making one. And I don't think we need to get down quite to the programming level conversation tonight, but bringing it back to the strategic plan here,
Mhm.
some of the feedback that I've received about focus area 2 is, so we have policy K, the library board actually has a policy K, but it doesn't really tell us what are we gonna use this money on this year. It doesn't really tell us, have we been discussing the larger capital projects that could be going on in the library, and are we prioritizing those and executing those in order to be spending the money wisely? That sort of thing.
okay.
So I have heard, like, even at our last board meeting that we attended together in November, everybody wanted to know what are the bigger projects that we're gonna be working on right now.
Like, perhaps we need a list of, I don't know, I'm pulling numbers out of the air, but I don't know, 10 projects or 5 projects that probably need to be done, and then we prioritize them. And we have that, we know that, and then perhaps we even, maybe or maybe not, say, well, likely we'll do X, Y in our first year, and A, B, and C in our second year, or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I mean, we can look at, so what you're asking for is something more prescriptive then out of that. Is that right? Out of line, out of K, you would like something that says, hey, this is what we want you to be focusing on. Is that what you're asking for?
I think it would be helpful for making a plan to spend that money and knowing the larger projects that we have going on. I think that's true. I think what we're saying is the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Prioritizing them.
Right. And so for the project list, that's generated, I presume, in your world.
So that can happen as part of Focus Area 2, develop a policy for allocating contributions, and it could be building on what we already have, refreshing policy K that we already have, but also being specific as to what we're going to be spending the money on annually.
So, okay, giving you direction on the areas. And I think when we were first starting off, we were looking at like, what can we use these dollars for? I think that was our big question at first, was like, hey, where can we even go with what we have?
And that's where Nancy is saying, are we even at a point where it's clear what each of those monies are and what we can spend them on? Are the pots clear? So it's like, how much of the money that we have are bequests and what are the restrictions on those requests? And what are the donations? And when I'm looking at the expense sheet each month, is it clear so that we can start spending accordingly?
Yeah, and so is that, I mean, I thought we had gotten that from the city about like what those funds are from Kim.
If I may, it might be helpful just to read
Read that?
the K financial policy.
Yeah.
It's operations, restricted funds, endowment, and other funds and gifts. Purpose. The purpose of this policy is to guide the library board in the use of library funds in a planned, responsible way to sustain the operation of the library and ensure its continued financial health into the future. This policy provides a framework for the management of library funds, a mechanism for transfer of funds to the endowment, a more clear definition of how the endowment funds operate, and a mechanism for donors to contribute to the library for general or specific purposes. And so talks about the governance, member of the Arrowhead Library, City of Grand Marais, Cook County. The city is the fiscal agent, owns the building and facilities. It has the breakdown of the funds. So there's the operations, that's account 211, that's the operating fund. And there's the restricted funds, which is the capital reserve, and that's more for those. Well, then there's 216, which is the Hazel Matthews Fund. Then there is our foundation funds that we get statements for. But under the restricted funds, so the operations comes from the city and the county levy. And then in the policy, it says the public library retains a fund balance in the 211 account up to 6 months of operating budget. So that's important to remember. And then also says if the balance carried forward drops below 3 months, the board may consider action to replenish the balance. But I think that's a rare thing that would ever happen.
Yeah.
But there's something there in case.
Yeah.
And then 215 is the restricted fund, and these accounts are comprised of donations to the library and grants. Some funds are designated by the donor for specific purposes, and some are not. Any funds not spent in a given year carry over and accrue until needed for expenditures as designated by the library board. Minimum balance is to maintain this account, $10,000 for insurance deductible, $20,000 for computer replacement, and the balance is considered exigency. How do you pronounce that? Exigency.
Exigencies.
Exigency? Is that
Yeah,
what
exigencies meaning.
Exigency, yeah.
Yeah, meaning. what, something you really have to do.
Like a flood,
Like what?
like a flood.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
like
there
a
it is, to
flood
keep the
or-
library operating as catastrophic circumstances. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that word, thank you. The
It's hard to
balance,
say.
yeah, I'll practice tonight.
Okay, that's
The
good.
balance should not drop below 6 months operating. So redundant, but also a framework for us to
Yeah,
work off of.
yeah.
And then possible uses include, but are not limited to, grounds, building, furniture and equipment, collection, expansion, technology, expansion of services, security, programs and shows, marketing campaigns, other non-salary unanticipated expenses as may arise. So quite a bit of flexibility there.
Yeah.
And when there are things that do come up in the past, we have been able to lean on this.
Right.
It's just that we have not been looking for spending
Exactly.
it. So,
Right. Well,
and-
and it isn't necessarily that we're going to spend.
Right.
But
Although there is.
we
some of
can
that.
use it, we can plan rather than saying, gee, yeah, we want to have we want to have movies this winter. Let's see, let's get some money. We can say, oh, we will have movies this winter and we will have X number of dollars to fund those movies. It's a little different, I think, emphasis.
Yeah.
Or we've got lights that we need to take care of, and it's not like, oh my gosh, we're gonna take care of the lights, which fund no, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna take the money from this pot.
Mhm.
Maybe I am simplistic sometimes, but it's not that different in some ways than when you're running your household and you know you're going to need a new roof in a couple of years, and you put that money by.
Mhm.
You don't wait till, all of a sudden you need to put a new roof on.
Right.
Or maybe you do, I don't know.
Well, maybe
It could happen.
but It could happen.
It's happened before.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, I
Yeah.
think, and then of course, it's always good to have some extra for, the emergency that you weren't
Yeah.
expecting.
And I think that is what they're saying there with the 6 month.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could probably wiggle that down a little.
Well, 6 months isn't bad, but
Yeah.
there's also more money in there that we can
Yeah.
keep our 6 months, say, for emergencies, and then we have this other money that we can use for the planned improvements.
I think an important part of focus area 2 is that we're wanting to honor the public and private contributions. And one of the 3 key areas that this plan suggests we do that is by publicizing
Yes.
our plan and our results. So if we're speaking to the public regularly and saying, we're trying to replace our lighting, then people could be inspired to donate, understanding that they're contributing to a particular project or something like that. And also we can be very clear from start to finish about our intentions. Hey, we had intentions to use private contributions to ensure the library appears maintained. I keep doing this, pay no attention to the blackout lights. And then we can also say, yay, we did it, and here's how we did it. We did it by using private contributions like those from these contributors or something. So it's like that, closing that communication loop between ourselves and the community, so there's transparency on the use of those funds. Is what kind of one of the things I think that was getting at.
And just the fact that people like to be publicly thanked, which means that they may give more money in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and so in focus area 1, survey the community. What services do you want? What groups are underserved? So, that would help gauge, have a better sense of what projects people are looking for, what needs there are. But, there is, I think, probably pretty decent feedback loop from patrons expressing what the needs are. But this is more intentional, and I think that's good. But I'm not sure that we are lacking in our ability to respond when it comes to purchases necessarily, but it's just kind of prioritizing, and is that prudent? And we haven't had an intentional plan or budget amount of that. But
I think it's always good to have a plan, and then at the same time realize that, sometimes the plan is going to go awry, but at least you have a place to start.
So
So I'm hearing that focus area 2, at least in terms of the statement and the summary below it, feels very important and valid, and we like it and we want to keep that in check. Do we have any thoughts about the other categories?
I like them.
I like them too, generally. I'm just curious, and this is sort of like past history maybe that I don't know. What have we done this is focus area 1, Grand Portage community leaders, what have we done in the past? Anything? Have we worked with them?
Yeah, before COVID, well, Grand Portage would come down here. I'm not as familiar. I know there was intentions, at least, and vision to also go up to Grand Portage, and I'm not clear on how much capacity there is, but yeah,
I can answer. Before COVID, I had regularly had both visits from the Grand Portage Head Start, and also went up there and did story times and like library tours and making sure that they had an institutional card so they could check out books. And we have not been able to restart that yet, but that is.
Well, their Head Start, I know my granddaughter goes up there 4 days a week because her dad also works at Grand Portage. And their Head Start's really nicely organized these days, and they're doing great stuff. So I'm sure they would be open to that. I think the one issue could be just what is your capacity to be doing all of that, because you're only one person.
We've also tried, they were trying to reinvigorate a library up in Grand Portage that we sought to support that work, and we did our best to try to participate in the CARE organization, the racial equity group, in their planning activities for Indigenous Peoples Day. They had a fantastic event up there last year. Was it just last year? But we weren't quite there yet to be able to participate as much as we could. And so we have little different things going on that we could certainly
build on.
I do feel like these areas do, I do feel like this is what we're looking. I feel like it is.
It reflects what people said during the sessions. It really does.
Focus 3 though seems out of whack.
Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, how so?
Provide staff and leadership the resources they need. And 2 of the 3 are tech things, are physical things. It's like, we're talking developing leadership, yes. Having good lighting is a good thing, but it's not gonna make, it's not really saying, oh, we put new lights in, you got a new system, now you're gonna be a much better leader. You're gonna be a much better librarian. It's like providing qualities, provide staff, supports staff, that's staff oriented and not, that's personnel, that's things we can learn and do and
Right.
and give bonuses to, and affirmation to. It's not, hey, yeah, you're not under fluorescent light anymore. You're welcome.
I think it is. Maybe there is a pointing out that, there's lots of things around our staff that we can make better.
Yeah.
And so to support our staff out here, but also like fundamentally support our staff.
If I could just speak to that briefly, as I've never been a librarian, but I was a freelance writer, and one of the ways I had to invest in myself was technology. I had to have a good computer. Lighting was important, to be honest. And I understand what Enno's saying, and in a way I agree. On the other hand, if think about the discussion we had, was it 2 meetings ago, about the microfilm reader. And, there would have been maybe other ways to deal with that, but what makes it easier for staff dealing with that? You know, do they have to deal with a, 50-year-old microfilm reader or computers? I've actually seen that in my neighborhood library in St. Paul, and I lived there. There were, some of the computers were, at that time, they were a bit behind the times, shall we say. And some of the technology that people were using to slide their library cards so they could, take up their books and so on, didn't work right. And it was very, very frustrating for the staff. So the technology is important and the furnishings are important. If you've ever worked at a desk that didn't fit you or a chair that didn't fit you, how efficient were you?
Yeah.
I do agree about the leadership training and so on.
Yeah, I just saw furnishings are in there, but it's a lot does.
Yeah.
That does connect it a little bit more to me. I just read the first five words of that sentence and then went down.
But this strikes me as they thought of a way that we could put something in there that they could cross out as accomplished really quickly.
Oh, that's possible.
This might really, I mean, maybe, what the intention is to say something about continue to create a really good working environment
Yes.
for them.
Yeah.
But worded like this, we get to cross something off really fast.
We do, and you are right. Now, the third bullet point, one elective training opportunity annually, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And hopefully that, would be maybe for everybody. I mean, what are they, the library clerks, would they get that too, as well as the librarians? And I mean, that's great because, that kind of training is really what we need so we can stay up to date.
So it seems like we do like the draft that we have before us in general. It seems that we feel like this is the direction we meant, and these are areas, even if specific ones may not be exactly what we were thinking, but I think this seems like the direction we would like to go in. I'm not sure I'm just trying to think if we have to even vote on that at this point.
Are we just supposed to give them feedback or?
Something.
Need to adopt it at some point.
Yeah.
We do that tonight.
I mean, I don't know if we need to make any more. I mean, we could make some minor edits, I suppose, if we feel like in general that we're hitting it.
Yeah.
We could,
Amanda, what's your thought?
we could amend it and then adopt.
What are your thoughts on the totality of the plan?
Thanks for asking. I'm pretty excited by the plan also. I think it does a good job of providing back to us the discussion and the insight that came out of both of our planning sessions. I do come back around to, so if I can just generalize my interpretation here.
Yeah.
Focus area 1, this for me, the library inspires a robust community involvement, and in particularly, we're looking to attract a wide range of stakeholders to participate in the library's vitality. I might finesse the language in here, but I think the general concept is, one of the things that came out of our meeting from doing all of our case scenarios is, whether we're in need of a lot of community support, we definitely envision ourselves as having the community responding.
Yep.
Businesses would show up and help us do this or that. They would donate a thing. They would do something that, WTIP and Boreal would, and CCHE would let us do programming. So this, I think section 1 says, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the people who are invested in our vitality. We're going to build new relationships and just be very conscientious of that part of our network and keeping that alive. Focus area 4 for me says, great, now that we're vital, now that we've got this vitality and support, what's it for? What's it trying to do for us? And I think it's trying to help us accomplish our mission of providing service to underrepresented and underserved parts of our county. In other words, okay, we've got a set group of people that we're really good at serving. Can we reach further? Can we identify some new groups in the community that we could serve better and expand our reach? I don't think we need more discussion really on the necessity of the financial resources thing, but when we come back to the staff part, the focus area 3, library provides staff and leadership the resources they need to provide quality service. This one's hard to digest or to understand or to do a thing with. Like you've noted, 2 of the things on here are tech or furniture, and are they really going to significantly change the way that staff view themselves and are able to serve? I think about, for example, if I identify a tech item that needs to be replaced, I have an automation line in our operational budget to do that with, and I can come to you if it's going to be a little more expensive. And furnishings, and the lighting for me really felt more toward the capital planning side of things. So for me, I would move it over there as an action item. It doesn't fit for me here.
Right.
One thing that we could all do to make it easier for me to provide quality service is fix the rotunda. We've been working on this, but it needs to be done, but it's not in this plan and it's huge. But would that be something that provides staff and leadership the resources they need to provide a quality service? I just think it's hard to execute this. And we absolutely want to be offering staff members elective training opportunities every year. This one says, above and beyond what we usually do for you, you can choose one thing of your choice, anything of your choice, but you have to prove to me that it's a part of our strategic plan. So you have to show me for sure that it's serving an underserved or underprivileged part of the county to do that. What I've noticed that staff are asking for this year, I talked to you about it already, is Erica and I are both seeking these opportunities to expand our leadership through attending larger conferences or retreats and things like that. Things like that. And we're not really getting to that in the plan yet in terms of action items.
But I think that is the intent of that one. And I think that is exactly the intent, is for those things to happen. And I'm not sure that when we're saying, even this line here, that it's an elective thing, I think maybe I think having the trained staff is really, maybe that should just be it. It should just be full stop. Like you pick something that is related, obviously, to libraries, but maybe we don't have to have it connected.
That's a strategic plan.
Yeah,
because it's still, we want those people to be happy to be there and doing a good job. They're going to fulfill these other pieces if they feel like they're getting their due and they're getting better at like whatever their niche area is that they're good at or that they like or they're interested in. And then they can bring in, maybe they're just gonna, I don't know, maybe it's a D&D thing. Who knows? Like somebody might just have this area that they're really interested in. They can be bringing in people because of their interest and they do some sort of training or whatever, but it follows
Like take a class at North House on canoe building. I just want to make sure I followed you where you went.
Well, I'm not sure that I went there exactly because I think the idea is that it would be, unless somebody could make a case to say like how this is related to serving. I hear what you're saying. Like you're thinking like, oh, well, here's, I don't know. I don't think that's what I would mean.
It should be broad enough to include like emergency mental health training that you did, but narrow enough to be still related to the library.
Right.
I think that's what Michael is aiming for. But this doesn't either.
Right.
So this needs a rewrite, right, is what we're saying, right?
I think some of the action items need some.
Yeah, I think the intent is clear, or not clear, but we like the intent.
We should make
we
it
are agreed
clear.
to that.
Yeah.
But our action items could be clearer.
Erica, did you want to mention anything?
on this one?
Or would we, kind of what I heard you saying is that having the best staff is always job number one. It doesn't need to be in here. So maybe focus area 3 then goes to the building and grounds, and over the next 3 years, we come up with a 10-year building plan. Saying here's the things that are gonna be doing, the rotunda, what are the regular maintenance, but what are the areas that's gonna be, so we have that 10-year planning out. So we can say, okay, year 7, we're gonna be working on da. And so then we can look for fundraising for that, saying, yep, we've been taking care of this year. This year, we really wanna focus, here's our plans to bring here's our goal of where we want the building facilities to be in 10 years, and maybe it's adding another room. Maybe we're like, everything's going gangbusters. We ran out of room. We want to add space.
Yes, busy room.
Yeah, Erica, Amanda
So
just asked, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so over the next 3 years, we explore the possibilities and see what the facility needs in 10 years, including the regular maintenance, and come up with a 10-year plan for the building.
Are you saying to drop that focus area? Is that what you're saying?
To replace that focus area. So that would include the lighting, the tech, and all that kind of stuff, but then it would add the rotunda and, underserved needs. Well, there isn't, maybe, I don't know, maybe there is some people don't like the wide open space and so we need to, I don't know.
Amanda suggested that you might have some ideas on this.
Yeah, so I think this one is kind of an artifact of the brainstorming process that we did, where it was very, I think it's inductive or deductive, I get those backwards, but where we had all of these details and ideas of action items, and then the team took that data and kind of extrapolated these focus areas from them. And this sort of list of action items is all about the environment, or almost all about the building, the environment, how comfortable are people in the building? Is the building serving people's needs? And it's not really about staff.
Yeah.
It's about everybody in the building. And so I think Enno is on the right track of like, these are good action items, but we extrapolated the wrong focus area from it.
And you were recommending that we change it from providing staff and leadership the resources they need to provide quality service to we're working toward developing a comfortable and welcoming environment.
Works a lot better.
On the other hand, if we want to provide staff and leadership with resources, what kinds of resources would be needed, would be appropriate, would be?
I think the trouble with that is that personnel stuff really goes through the city. It doesn't really go through the board.
HR.
And so it's great that you all want to support staff, but in terms of like practical things that are really within your purview, there's not a lot.
And that just goes back to the finances to say, clarifying policy K and saying these funds can be used for programming, these funds can be used for staff, these funds can be used for continuing ed, these funds can be used for the connecting convention,
Annual conferences or
and
whatever.
conferences. So that's, I think that would fit more in, just put that action item over here is to create funds for programming, or to say designate
where,
designate funds for programming and the leadership and community
Training.
employee connection.
Yeah,
professional.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
professional
So,
training. And
got that. That's great. So bring that over into finance.
So
Say
can
like,
we-
hey, we want to say these resources can be used for, staff training and programming. And then also now change this focus area over into more of a capital improvement plan.
Environmental,
Sure.
Comfortable, welcoming environment, because if we're making it a capital improvement plan, like, I think lighting fits into that, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're making an investment that's gonna pay off over time,
And everybody gets, the benefit of it.
and Rotunda as well. If that were the case, we could just cross off focus area 3. It's nesting under focus area 2 and becomes a part of those action items, which may be the result of developing a policy for allocating contributions, parentheses, for this year or whatever.
And then we can so then what about the capital piece? Or, like.
It's for,
Rotunda.
it says, that we're investing in capital planning. I'm assuming you're gonna have some activity in there. It's just an idea.
So what do we do with these ideas?
Well, I would still say focus area 3 is saying, looking at long-term building and environmental needs of the library, and action plan is to come up with a 10-year plan, and it may not involve anything but just regular maintenance, but at least we, taking care of the lighting, making sure that the tech stuff is there, but I think doing a 10-year plan, we'll say, hey, we're on the right track, and you don't need to do anything, but when we come up like, no, here's what we need, like the world has changed, and so, we need to have a mobile bookmobile up in Grand Portage, or a satellite, we could be talking about a satellite up in Grand, up at the end of the trail, it could, I will go expand beyond as we look for those underserved and underrepresented parts, that would be part of it that we would enroll in and say, okay, these parts of the county really have a hard time getting here. How do we go up to them? Do we do just a little library box, or maybe we can rent a room from the trail center and have a little library in there?
But that's focus area 4, pretty much.
Yeah, but it goes back to the building and environment. It's facilities,
You would
whether it be on-site or off-site.
make focus area 3 then. Let's
Facilities.
see if we could, I don't know, see if I can summarize what you said. We'd make that what? We would be planning capital improvements?
Yeah, I think now, I just want to ask Amanda, so you said that the capital improvements or the kinds of improvements we're talking about could be, you said to me that it might be somewhere else that we were going to take action, and I'm not sure where.
It's under focus area 2 where it says professional board training for the role of capital planning. But it doesn't, but that's just how to do capital. That's just rolling and how to do capital planning.
Okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Well, would investing capital planning be an action item under focus area 2?
Yeah, but that's not saying what we're planning for.
Or is it its own thing?
So
Focus area 3.
how, like, when you look at focus area 3,
Mhm.
take the word training out of it and imagine there's some other, because we like adjectives and extras and descriptions, and what if it reads, the library supports staff in providing quality service to the community by investing in furnishings, technology, and the other thing that we just scratched off, but it'll be a new one, to ensure.
I see where you're
You
getting
know what I
at.
mean? Full
Brilliant.
stop,
Yes.
just full stop, not to ensure staff are equipped, but
Nice.
library supports staff in providing quality service to the community by investing in the facility, its furnishings and
That's
technologies.
good.
Yes.
Bam.
Say again, Amanda, the facility?
Furnishings.
The
and
library
technology.
supports staff in providing
Furnishing.
quality service to the community by investing in the facility, its furnishings and technologies.
Okay. In other
Did you
words,
say
by,
anything else?
yeah, by giving the staff the tools they need, essentially.
Well, you are by doing that.
So where would the training and development go under then?
Didn't
I
they put it
think-
under one? Where was that?
Under one or under two?
I would put it under number 4
Number 4?
because, if staff can have an electric training that, so let's suppose staff identify an underrepresented or underserved part of the community. For example, hearing impaired.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm a library clerk. I work at the front desk. Three times a week, I got this person coming in. I can do nothing for them because they speak American Sign Language and I don't. I'd love to take a class. Great. I can give you a training on that. But it's directly related. It's now functionally related. It's now necessarily related to a particular part of the plan. It still allows for that training.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it completely speaks to leadership, but it should. Does it?
I mean, cultural competence is part of leadership.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
Exactly.
Well, what I don't like about removing it from focus area 3 is just that, whereas I agree, facilities, absolutely, and furnishings and tech and all that, but I felt like so much of the session was about supporting staff, really making sure, and that's as a whole, right? It's not just tech, it's not just building, it's not just training, but it's all of it. And so, if we wanted to add another focus area, that would make sense. But I feel like the focus area is really supporting staff and leadership. And so taking training out of that, I just don't know where better to put it.
Maybe we can word this focus area 3 with the facility, its furnishings, and squeeze training in there too.
Well, we could just say providing staff and leadership the environment and resources they need to provide quality service. Like that covers the facility, that covers the everything that's needed.
Say again?
Yeah.
Focus area 3, the library provides staff and leadership the environment and resources they need to provide quality service.
Amanda, do you feel like that hits it well enough?
It's still a weird category because of the specific action items, but I don't know, like lighting was identified, right? Like
It was. And I think that, obviously there's a lot of talk about supporting the library and librarians and everything. So I think that, I think we do need to reflect that somehow in here.
Is that a strategic goal though?
I mean, I think it is in the sense that we want a happy staff and we want, an engaged staff. And we're not gonna, none of this stuff happens if people aren't there to do it and who want to be there and enjoy them. And feel like we're supporting them in any way that we can. And I get, we don't want to cross over the line into the HR world, but there is that outer area where we could be supporting.
Intentional support via environment or trainings or culture or whatever.
Would it be helpful to say physical environment, which would include furnishings and technology?
If you want to get specific, but I think just environment is broad enough, because beyond the physical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I want a spiritual environment in here,
Oh, we've got Anno.
Yeah.
We can come in and pray a little bit.
Suffers. Could we then add into action items on number 3 then? Creating a 10-year vision for facilities.
Yeah, and that can go in,
Yeah, under
in
focus
two
areas
as well. I mean, we can
Yeah.
go both. I mean, it's all related, right? It's all connected. We need the
Yeah.
capital, we need the staff, we need the finances. You know, we
Yeah.
need all of this working together, so.
But I think providing the staff and
Specific.
the environment and resources they need, then
Mhm.
I think it falls better into there.
Sure.
One is how you pay for it, the other is
Yeah.
what are you paying for?
Mhm.
You okay, Amanda?
Yes.
You wanna go home?
We all do.
Well, eventually. And I just yawned. Okay.
One other
Go ahead.
comment I had about, in general, I like this a lot. It's, at first I didn't. Because it just seemed too simple. The old plan had a lot of depth, but it was also a little overwhelming and complex. So then my feelings changed, and I like the simplicity, and it gives it focus, and it's achievable, and we can revisit it or whatever. So there's all that. But the other thing I was just questioning was just the training focus area. Like, I agree there needs to be some, or there should be some kind of like, you know, parameters. And, you know, I don't know that it necessarily needs to be, I don't know. Like, I feel it's too restrictive to say demonstrably related to the library strategic plan. I would rather just be like relative to.
Library
Each
needs.
person's
What you need.
development or like.
Sure, yeah, I mean, but operationally too, you know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it can be broad, but hopefully it's, you know, the intention is to have it relatable to providing better service, so
Yeah.
I just don't know how to word that, or,
Yeah, I agree.
and I think that was maybe
Professional
the,
development opportunity, or.
Yeah.
I think too, if it's a little naked, the staff that we have are so professional
Oh, right.
in general. I
Sure.
think they're gonna naturally show us what's related to library work, or I'll be able to nudge them in a slightly different direction. But, so go ahead and
I think we should
articulate
just
if you want
scratch it.
to, but
scratch the.
Scratch the parentheses and trust the staff.
No, I think that's a great way to put it in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know what the
Right.
library needs are. I have a example, hopefully it won't ever come up here, but I have a friend whose son works on the west side of St. Paul in the St. Paul Public Library. And they are dealing with how to deal with, fentanyl, and how to give when people are ODing right there. They're dealing with homeless people, and so they would certainly benefit from training opportunities that for us, we would think, well, that maybe doesn't have anything to do with us. It could someday, or there could just be other things that come up. I mean,
It's starting.
Things come up.
I think.
yeah. And, I think Amanda or somebody said to me the other day that there are a few people who come in to the library who speak Spanish and nobody can help them. So maybe, who knows, maybe there's a class somewhere, Spanish for librarians.
there are classes.
Yeah, and that's not well, okay, it's underrepresented and underserved, but still, just, we don't know what's gonna come up.
Yeah, and my hope, at least, I think that's all very important and
Mhm.
Almost necessary.
Mhm.
My hope, again, is it's an elective training that staff, something that's branching out a little bit more,
Right.
maybe pushing the envelope a little bit, or more fringe. That's like directly relevant, but
Mhm.
that's what I was hoping for, is just to enable
Well,
personal growth and development
exactly.
in whatever
Well,
way.
though, Dave, it could be either. It could be
Both,
very
yeah,
specific,
exactly.
or it could be,
And
and
like we said,
but I agree with you. I don't think we should limit it.
yeah, I think leaving it to staff and
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
a conversation, but yeah, scratching the parentheses, I think makes sense. And if
Yeah.
you just said one relevant elective training,
Mhm.
I think is,
Perfect.
So can we just go back through?
Yeah.
We now have focus area 3, the library provides staff and leadership the environment and resources they need to provide quality service. As the summary under that, the library supports staff in providing quality service to the community by investing in training and the facility, its furnishings and technology. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
And then adding a 10-year plan, is that part of this?
We had talked about having it in both places.
Well,
It's
one
nicer.
is just the money side of it. One is what the envision side of it, you
The
know.
doing it part.
All
Okay,
right, very
maybe-
good.
maybe
So
one
the
of,
executing and the preparing.
yeah, maybe what I was thinking, but I also like what Anna was thinking, but I don't think they're mutually exclusive. One is the sort of, if you wanna call it more immediate things, like we know we're gonna need a new roof in 2 years or a new whatever in 2 years. How are we gonna pay for it, or do we have the money to do that? The 10-year plan would be more, I don't wanna say wishful thinking, but it would be, you know, in the best of all possible worlds, what would the library look like in 10 years? And how do we get there? So it's a little different.
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive.
No.
Thank you, Anna.
For another important day.
Thank you.
Okay,
See you at my next meeting.
Thank you,
You
Anna.
can do it.
Small town.
but that's kind of how I see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, what role does the city play in the facilities too, right? Isn't that like, there are capital
Yeah.
things that the board has advocated for
Mhm.
or spent money on or whatever, but then there's also the city side of things with their capital, their CIP, so I'm not as
Yeah.
familiar
And
where
then-
that's at, and I just don't know how it integrates
Mhm.
with our
But-
role, so
Yeah,
it can be.
obviously it would be a nice synergy if we were all looking at the same
Right.
Yeah.
sorts of things. And
Right.
Like, well, our dollars can come in and do this and your dollars can do this.
Mhm.
Same with the counties, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so seems like we hammered out number 3. Are we good with the draft at this point now?
Should we submit the rewrite and then look at it again when
Yeah,
we've
that
got
would
the
be-
whole thing?
That would be great, because I've been sort of taking notes and crossing off things and making arrows. And
Okay, so we'd like
I'd like a
to
clean
see this back here again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're all agreed?
Uh-huh.
Kevin?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, we'll see this back again then.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. And now on to more new business. We have a lighting proposal.
2 lighting proposals.
Yeah.
I really liked how specific Hunt Electric's proposal was, and
Mhm.
it's
Wasn't that nice? I
And-
mean,
and-
every detail.
yeah, and much more affordable.
Okay.
I do have questions about the color comments in that. Like, it's just
Okay.
I can't remember what all the different colors are. There's different ones I remember,
Mhm.
but they had a very prescriptive, like, daylight, that's what you want. I was like, whoa, that's not what.
Well, I found out by going out to one of the hardware stores that you have to look at what you're buying and what the color is.
Yeah,
Because
Remember?
I got bulbs that fit
right.
and they look like junk because they're really yellow.
Yeah.
And I know if I get a number, it's a higher, I get nice white light, and that's what I want.
Yeah,
So I
not
have to look
everybody
for that.
wants white either. Sometimes people want that warm white, so you have to make a decision
Well, but in your
overall on
kitchen?
what your color. No, I always buy, we do for the resort, we always buy warm, but
Yeah.
what is this? I'm not sure.
Right, I don't either. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in different rooms, wasn't there different colors or something?
Yes.
Well, I mean, in each room, this is
Right.
warm, that's cold, and
I
that's
see.
out.
Thank you for
I
that.
see now.
Wait a minute, warm, cold, out. How
And
much is
also
the
there's
out?
like brightness
Yeah.
differences,
lumens,
but
yeah.
it's the softer light, probably by closest to the door, the 3 closest to the door, is what was originally in this room. And we did talk with Hunt Electric in particular about brightening up the canned lighting in the 2 circulation areas as well as the meeting room across from here, which is pretty dark. Brightening it a little bit. They were not able to provide us the light that you can just see what the samples of each of the fixtures would be like.
It'd be handy.
But I wonder if we could, so what would be the best case outcome of your concern? It would be like, can we see daylight before we purchase the color? Can we see what you're recommending?
I think that's
To be
a
nice.
good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's,
I'm very comfortable with the proposal.
yeah,
It's just that color. And so I would be very comfortable if the proposal was a little more, if we had to get that color nailed down.
yeah.
And that's not gonna be, I have my own preferences. I'm gonna have to rely on those that are in the building all the time, so. But I just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Do we know anyone that Hunt has worked with in the past who have changed their colors and put different colors in different places? And do we know, if so, do we know how satisfied they've been? I think that might be also worth finding out.
That's,
Each of these contractors recommended one place that they've done work, and I think they both recommended the canned lighting. One is in Grand Marais State Bank, and one is at the clinic. But I don't know what the color specification is for comparison, but I could find out
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the one lighting fixture. There's gonna be, out there will look different.
Yeah, well, I do know based just on my own small experience, I bought the wrong color light bulb. It was kind of bluish for my home office in St. Paul. And I was starting to get a little depressed. And I felt a lot better with a different, with a brighter color.
Can be too harsh. He's picked
Yeah.
a color here that is pretty comfortable, I think.
Well, and you were saying at the resort, you pay attention to that, so I'm inclined to pay attention to you.
Well, we're going for a different thing though. We're going for cozy.
Right.
And you're going for being able to read, so.
Yeah, but you have to have a little bit of cozy too.
Little
in
bit
the
of
library.
cozy,
That's
yeah.
true,
mhm,
I think.
mhm.
All
That
right.
was kind of, like
So-
for my household, we only buy 2700 Kelvin, and that's the yellow. And in Kevin's household, they don't buy any of that, so it's just like, what's the most appropriate for this space? There might be a library standard, or.
Maybe that's true. Is there
Is there a
a
library
suggestion
standard?
from the
That's
ALA
that's a
or
good
something?
All
idea.
right, there you go,
But-
marching orders.
But I
right
don't know
there.
that Hunt, I don't know how much specialty Hunt has in the
Uh-huh.
lighting color. I have no idea.
They
So
can order
if-
whatever you want.
But I mean,
sure.
like, as far as like
I would think so.
tuning, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that they're like the experts on, oh, you're a library, you want this color.
Right.
I don't know. It kind of sounded like, but on the other hand, it kind of sounded like blowing smoke. So I don't know.
No,
We could
that's a
come
good-
here and walk through with Amanda and
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an
Talk about
interesting
what you
question.
want.
Is there
Every
a library
library is
standard?
different in the
Yeah.
design. I spent some time at the Grand Rapids Public Library, which is in
Yeah.
this system also, and it's darker there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's also a nice atmosphere.
Well, because you can have it too bright.
Well,
Yeah.
but there they have more stacks.
okay.
Mhm.
Right. So do we feel then
Not
that
so
we
big
want to
open
see
area.
that
Compared to this.
light difference before we say yes?
It's,
I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing.
that's what I would think. But I mean, to Sarah's point too.
Yeah.
They were here on site and this is their recommendation. So, I mean, maybe I shouldn't just second guess that. Maybe I should trust that they,
Nelson.
Well, it'd be
What
nice
I
to
just
see
heard
it.
you say was, we, the board, approve the Hunt Electric
Yeah.
proposal.
Right.
We like that.
With the recommendation the director pursue what
Yes.
this color lighting is.
Oh, you are good.
She
Yes,
is good,
that's
isn't
exactly
she?
what we meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so moved.
she's hungry.
Y'all are.
Okay then, and
We should do snacks now that you can reach the middle of the table.
yes, absolutely brownies.
Oh, I thought you meant we should do snacks right now. And I was like, I don't,
Let's
what,
have some. I've got
those
some.
are pens. But- Mr. President, I made a motion there and we have support from.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All
Okay.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent.
Who moved?
I did.
Secretary Mills.
Secretary, no,
Right there.
And who seconded, sorry.
Vice President LeBlanc.
All right, and the final new business. Public Library Association Scholarship and Request Fund Other Travel Expenses. That sounds awesome. Anybody have any ideas about wanting to make a motion?
I'll move that, we accept the,
Request?
yes, request.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. So moved. We're adjourned.
Okay.
Yay.
Is that how we
Amanda,
do it?
what
Is
do
that
you
how we
want
do
us
it,
to
Kevin?
do
Is that
after
how we
these?
do it?
That's fine.
Do you want us to move tables?
We have
I
an
don't want
agenda
you to
that's been
leave
approved.
each other.
As long as you say it passed, it's
Any
fine.
library business
You
extra.
sure?
Okay.
All right, fine. Thank you.